Hey, what's going on, guys? So Breath of the Wild episode. A lot of you have been probably keeping up with me, and you know that a Breath of the Wild episode is coming up real soon. Well, it's gonna be pretty much either this week or next week. This is pretty much what the video is about. Now, I just want to put it all up front. If you guys want an episode that comes out soon, I can make that happen. But here's the caveat, I suppose. Right now I have about a 15 to 20 minute episode on my hands, and I can get that out by Monday. And that's something I could do, but I think I might have a 30 to 40 minute episode on my hands, but I would need an additional week for that. So here's what I'm thinking. Well, first of all, a lot of you are probably thinking, why don't you just do the 2 weeks? Really quick, the reason why I wouldn't want to do 2 weeks for an episode is because if you put out an episode 2 weeks from now, you pretty much get the same amount of views for it. So there's not a real incentive to do that as a creator, as a person who's trying to maintain an income. And that might sound a little sketchy. Trust me, I really would rather make this about the art. But then, on the other hand, why don't you just split it up into 2 parts? You release part 1 on this week, and then next week, you put out part 2. The reason why I can't do that is because I've tried that in the past, and it actually hurt the channel more than it helped. So, you guys might recall that I did this one time in the past with an episode for Mortal Kombat 9. And what ended up happening with that episode was the first part did great. It ended up getting now in total of close to 400,000 views. The second part, however, did really, really bad. And there's no way to know for sure why it did bad. But if you had to guess, I think the reason might be that there's 2 reasons. One is the excitement for the idea of a Mortal Kombat 9 episode is gone once you put out a part 1. So a lot of people who saw part 1 might not be as jazzed about part 2, therefore they don't share it with people, they don't watch it themselves, whatever else. And then on the other hand, there are people who never saw part 1 and see that there's a part 2 in their sub box and think, well, I never saw part 1, so I just won't see either. That's my guess, because what I ended up with at the end of the day was about less than half the amount of views that the part 1 got, and it's the same game. So, I learned that I shouldn't do that again, because also when the views are low on the channel, YouTube tends to hurt the channel in other ways. I start losing viewership, I start losing subscribers. Doing this thing weekly has really worked out for me, so it's really hard to ever think about delaying an episode an entire week. So here are the options, I think. Do a 15 to 20 minute episode for Breath of the Wild, and do like a live stream for everything else that I wasn't able to get in time. Or B, I could do a full episode, the episode I really want to do, but I would need your support. See, the thing is, if I don't put out a video for 2 weeks, it essentially means I don't get paid for an entire week, because there wasn't a video to show for it during the first week. What we can do to offset that is, if you guys want, you could support me on Patreon for just this month. Give me enough money to help me along for just the month of September, and we can get out the episode that we want. After that, you could just unsubscribe as a patron to Patreon and just go about your business. And I know a lot of you kind of have this feeling that, I don't know, I've never liked the idea of Patreon, and that's totally fine. If collectively most people don't like the idea of Patreon, or they don't have the money for Patreon, we have that other alternative. So there's really not a lose-lose here. In fact, by making this offer to all of you guys, I technically lose out, because for the 2 weeks that I haven't put out a video, YouTube recognizes that as a hiccup in my consistent schedule, and then in return, it usually hurts the channel. Uploading consistently seems to really work for all YouTubers, whether it be you upload once a month, or once a week, or whatever, consistency is what really helps you out on YouTube. So this is what I had in mind. I made sure to do this on September 1st and not August 30th because that would be scummy. Basically, if everyone came in to support me on August 30th, I'd be able to cash in on all your cash right at the end of the month. And that's not what I want to do. I want to see if this will work out. So basically, I'm going to keep the idea of Patreon open up until Monday. If the goal isn't met that's on the Patreon page, then you will see the Breath of the Wild episode on Monday. And if you see the episode on Monday, if you choose to support to try to see if we can get a full episode, the episode that I really want to see and probably a lot of other people want to see, then that would be the indication to you to drop out of Patreon and just continue about your business. But that's the idea that I had in mind. If you have any questions at all, of course, let me know. I'm trying my best to be as honest about this as possible. I know that whenever money's involved, people have to constantly question whether or not the person's on the up and up. And so, I tried to cover all my bases here, kind of preempt all the questions that I kind of expected to get. But, there's always questions you can't really think of. Pat, can you think of any questions for me that people might be asking?
What is the Kingdom Hearts 2 episode?
Well, that's not behind a paywall. Neither is this Breath of the Wild episode. So again, it's a win-win for all of you at home. The only thing I'm trying to offer here is a bigger win for all of us. So just consider it. I try not to make the goal too high. It really is just enough to get me by for the month. And like I said, the only thing that this offer is going to do is make it the best for all of you at home. And only hurt me just a little bit because it's going to hurt me with the YouTube algorithm. But I don't care. I do want to have the definitive episode for the Breath of the Wild Boundary Break. That's my goal here. And if it takes one little hit, I don't mind doing it. But I have no idea how people are going to perceive this video. So let me know what you think. And, I hope you understand that this is all coming from a well of honesty. I'm not trying to scam anybody. I really just want to support the craft, support the art of these videos, and not just be 100% about the money. Because if I was 100% about the money, it would just be a 15-minute episode, no questions asked, no video like this, and I'd still get the same amount of views. So consider that. And thank you so much. I hope you guys are excited for the Breath of the Wild episode either way. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Have yourselves a great night and take care.